Hi, my name is David Gruber. I am the Development and Communications Director at the Metro Dallas Homeless Alliance. That means that I don't do any of the real work over here. That is done by my colleagues. I have the honor of telling you about all that work, communications, and then demanding that you pay for it, development. Welcome to the abridged version of E Pluribus Unum, Ending Homelessness Together. We have a longer version too, so please check it out on our educational video and audio page at www.mdhadallas.org. Incidentally, I am much better in person, so if you like what you watch and hear here, you can invite me to speak through the contact info on the slide. Imagine we could end homelessness, not just help individuals, not just manage homelessness. Imagine we could eradicate it. Imagine we could make this intractable social ill a thing of the past. Now, you might say, David, that's a fantasy. Think again. There are times in our history, fairly recently in fact, that had I told you we would eradicate slavery, segregation, Indian removal, or institutional anti-Semitism, you might think me a fabulist. Yet, here we are. What do we mean? We do not mean no one ever becomes homeless. We do mean homelessness rarely happens. When it does, it is brief, and it never happens to that person again. It is important to remember that the modern homelessness crisis that we see today is just 40 years old. Two things happened in the mid to late 70s that scholars agree caused this crisis. A, the elimination of SROs, or single resident occupancies, and B, the shutting down of the state mental hospitals. You can learn more about this history in our blog series, as well as our presentation, both titled Ending Homelessness, Putting Theory into Practice, that were published earlier in April 2020. So, how are we doing in Dallas? Though we constantly track those experiencing homelessness, our annual homeless count, conducted every year around the same time, is the most comprehensive effort to arrive at the number of those experiencing homelessness, again, at any one time. The January 2020 homeless count showed that we have 4,471 persons experiencing homelessness in Dallas and Collin counties. Of those persons, 1,619 are unsheltered, 368 are veterans, 503 are chronically homeless, and 662 are children. Now, one of the most common questions we get is this one. Why are they homeless? And kind of implied in that, yikes, could I ever become homeless? Now, most of us will never become homeless because we would lean on our network of social connections. Our families, friends, and social groups would be there for us to call on. Homelessness occurs when this network of social connections breaks down, or was poor to start with, and can no longer be activated. Think of yourself as a trapeze artist. There are 3 nets that catch each one of us from falling into homelessness: our income, our assets, and our social network. Most of us have some type of income coming in with which we pay our mortgage or rent. If that went away, we could still tap our assets, be they savings, investments, retirement plans, etc. Even if we depleted those, most of us would be able to rely on our family, our friends, members of the house of worship we belong to, etc. Homelessness is the result of falling through that final net. And this helps explain this troubling phenomenon. African Americans make up 13% of the population, both in the US and in Dallas County. African Americans make up 40% of the US homeless population and 28% of the US unsheltered homeless population. And in 2016, African Americans made up 67% of the Dallas homeless population and 70% of the Dallas unsheltered homeless population. So there is a clear overrepresentation of African Americans and other persons of color in the homeless population. Now, if you think of the three nets, it all makes sense. The legacy of 400 years of racism in our country has caused income poverty, asset poverty, and social network poverty in the African American population in particular. Given these facts, it would be surprising if we did not see this type of overrepresentation. So how do we as a community end homelessness? How does any community end homelessness? The way we solve the problem of the social network breakdown is to put in place a homeless response system that steps into the gap created by that breakdown. The role of MDHA and its counterpart in every American community under the 2009 Hearth Act is to develop and quarterback an effective, unified homeless response system where all homeless services programs work together to make homelessness rare, brief, and non-recurring. Unified is the key word. Research shows that we cannot end homelessness if each provider just does their own thing. We can only end homelessness if we work together as a system. And MDHA's job is to lead that system. Now, the role of that system is to provide the only thing that ends homelessness, which is a home. We house the folks who are experiencing homelessness. For some folks, that is all that is needed. For some other folks, we need to throw in a few services to assist them. However, it is important to emphasize that research and common sense align in this case. If someone does not have a home, house them, and they are no longer homeless. That is the beauty of homelessness. Okay, that sounds weird. Let's try that again. That is the beauty of ending homelessness. It may be hard, but it's not at all complicated. There are problems in our society that we don't know how to solve. There are problems in our society that demand complex solutions. There are problems in our society that demand huge and sweeping change. Fortunately, homelessness is not one of those problems. We know exactly what to do. We know how to do it. We have done it for numerous people. The thing is, we can't do it alone. Why not? Well, two reasons. Because remember what it is that caused homelessness, the breakdown of a social network. We can step into its place and we can help rebuild it, but we cannot will a social network into being. We'll get back to how you can help with that in a moment. Number two, right? I said there are two reasons. It boils down to that one thing that makes the world go round: money. It is extremely difficult to end homelessness if you just rely on federal dollars. The entire country's main program to combat homelessness only distributes $2.3 billion, or about 1/1900th of the federal budget of 2019. Dallas and Collin counties receive a little more than $17 million of that, and $17 million only goes that far. So what can you do to help? Donate to MDHA. Just go to our website, click on the donate button. Easy enough. Support organizations which are part of our homeless response system. Together, we do what the data and research show really works, not what we think will work or what we hope will work, go to our website and our blog to learn more. Again, it's www.mdhadallas.org. Volunteer for the annual homeless count every year in the last 10 days of January. In 2021, it will be on January 21st. We need 1,500 volunteers to get the job done. So text MDHA to 22828. That's MDHA to 22828 to get on our email list, and we'll let you know when registration begins. Invite MDHA to speak about homelessness and how we can end it. We will come to your workplace, house of worship, social group, or club. And in these COVID-19 times, we can do it all remotely too. Help the homeless build social networks. You can establish a room in the inn program at your house of worship, or end one person's homelessness at your house of worship. Ask us for details. We'll tell you all about it. Advocate for more housing for those experiencing homelessness, paid for by a variety of funding sources, government and non-government, in your neighborhood. Housing is the only proven solution to homelessness, and contrary to popular myth, housing those experiencing homelessness does not lower your property values and does not increase crime. And advocate for a robust social safety net, particularly in the area of housing, because in the richest country in the history of civilization, we should not have to exclusively rely on those three nets that I talked about. We could, for instance, make sure that whoever dropped below a certain income level would receive a federal housing voucher. Right now, only 20 to 25% of those eligible to receive a voucher actually get one. And that would be the quickest fix on our way to ending homelessness. I know we can end homelessness because, again, though it may be hard, it's really not that complicated. Just ask Winnie the Pooh and Piglet. I've been thinking, said Pooh. You have a house, Piglet, and I have a house, and they are very good houses. And Christopher Robin has a house, and Owl and Kanga and Rabbit have houses, and even Rabbit's friends and relations have houses or somethings. But poor Eeyore has nothing. So what I've been thinking is, let's build him a house. That, said Piglet, is a grand idea.